Hi there! Happy holidays! Welcome to the special holiday edition of Ms. Primosch's Art Cart. Today on the Art Cart, we're going to work with a material called Sculpey. Sculpey is a type of clay that it's soft when you work with it and then you bake it hard in the oven. So today we're going to make our own Christmas ornaments with Sculpey. So, some people, when they use clay, they like to use something called armature wire. I actually prefer to use good old tin foil or aluminum foil, whatever you want to call it correctly. Anyway, so I make my forms out of tin foil first. For two reasons. First of all, tin foil is cheaper than armature wire. You can bulk it out more, you can do more with it, and also it saves your Sculpey. So you can use less Sculpey, you can also bake it for a much shorter time. Okay, so let's start off with making let's make an ornament based on my cartoon character. If you don't know what my cartoon character looks like, you should go to my website right now, hit pause right now, go to www.primosch.net. That's Primosch, Primosch.net, and look for the Jen character. Here's one finished now. This is one that I made out of Sculpey. It's a mermaid Jen, and I added glitter and some seashells. Here is another one I made last year. This is Jen painting a Jen. Whoa. So, we're going to base my sculptures on that character today. Now you can make any kind of form that you want. You can make stars, you could just make a spherical shape or anything else. Okay, so what we're going to try today is we're going to make an angel shape, a Jen angel. So let's get ourselves some, let's use the small one. Okay, now using the aluminum foil is a lot like using clay itself. So I'm going to actually form, like I'm sculpting with clay, I'm actually going to form my shape with the aluminum foil. See, there's the head. Now I'm going to twist and keep twisting tightly to make the neck. Okay. And here's the torso coming together. It doesn't have to be the exact size and thickness you want it to be at this stage because you are going to add clay to it, so it can be sort of a skeletal form. Okay, here's the waist. Now I see that I'm going to need some more aluminum foil. Okay, you want to make sure before you start this project that you have enough of everything. Make sure you have enough Sculpey, make sure you have enough aluminum foil, because there's nothing worse than starting this project and you realize that you don't have the materials you need. So, more aluminum foil. So I'm going to take a piece and I'm going to wrap it right onto the form. I'm going to wrap it around and around to make like a dress. Okay. It looks very crumply. That's okay. It doesn't have to look like anything yet. I'm starting to pull it out to make kind of a dress form. You can sort of see it now. I'm going to tuck this underneath. Now some of the pieces might start falling off, and that is very easily fixed by adding another layer of aluminum foil. So let's put another layer of aluminum foil. I'm packing it tightly and going around. Okay. Now, I'm actually making a 3-dimensional ornament this time. It could even be a treetop. It's not a flat ornament. So what I'm doing, if you look, see in there, I'm actually leaving this part hollow. Okay? It helps with the weight because sometimes ornaments get too heavy, and when Sculpey falls to the ground, it will shatter and break, and then you'll be using a hot glue gun to put it back together. And, well, let's just avoid that by making it as light as possible. So, here is the basic form. Voila. Now, let's add some arms. Now, depending on where the arms are positioned, actually, you know what? I always put the arms one way. I always make them stretch out first, and then when I add the clay, that's when I bend them into the shape that I want them to be. So I'm taking some more foil, and I am making like a tube or a long stick. And at the ends, sometimes I make a little bit like a hand shape, but you can also do that with the clay. So I'm going to decide which is the front and the back. I'm going to put the arms alongside the back here. Okay, now how am I going to attach it? That's easy. More aluminum foil. So I'm going to, this is the back, okay? I'm going to just put more aluminum foil over it to hold it in place. See? And then mush the aluminum foil all around it alongside the form. See? So now it looks more like the one I did before. And if you find that it doesn't look right with the shoulders, you could always raise it up. Now one arm looks thicker than the other. It really doesn't matter at this point because we haven't added the clay yet. So, okay. All right. So we have the basic armature done of our clay figure. I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, so now for the Sculpey, I've got some white. I have some Caucasian flesh tone color. It's a little bit light, but you can always mix whatever flesh tone you want. The basic package of Sculpey, there's the white, but then there's also one with a lot of different colors, and there usually comes with brown and usually comes with a sort of peach color, and you can always mix it by making, oops, whatever color works for you. So I'm going to take a little piece of the Sculpey and I'm going to knead it. Not like I need this, but to knead. So roll between your hands, mush it up, whatever. So you want to get a flat, kind of like a flat ball of Sculpey, see? Now it is going to pick up like your hand prints and your thumb prints and stuff, so that's always entertaining. Alright, so now here's where the head is. I'm going to take some Sculpey and I'm going to just put it right around where the head and neck are going to be, and I'm going to pinch off the excess. Save it for later because I'll need it. Okay, so I'm pinching off the excess and spreading the Sculpey around so that it takes the shape of the form that I just painstakingly made. Okay, see I'm covering the back because like I said before, I'm making a 3-dimensional sculpture and not just a flat 2-dimensional one. Okay. So now's the time where I think about details like where the chin and the neck are separated from each other. And fingernails are good for smoothing out. Okay. So, there you go. Okay. Now, we're going to stop for a minute and add something else. You're going to, if you're going to bake it, I strongly recommend using wire in the ornament itself for hanging. You don't want to bake it with ribbon or with cloth because that could catch fire in your oven. And trust me, you do not want fire in an oven. You do not want your house to burn down. You really don't. Been there, not fun. So, I didn't burn it down. Anyway, so here we go. I've got this, this brand is called Ook. I like it because it's got this handy little cutter thing. So I'm gonna take some of this wire and very carefully pull it through the cutter. Carefully pull it through the cutter. I said, and now I have a nice little piece of wire. Now, if you really hate the idea of wire, you can always hot glue a ribbon to it later. So now I'm going to make a loop with the wire, and I'm going to put it in the back of my ornament, right into the clay, see? So let's leave that there for a minute. I'm going to take a little bit of the brown for the hair. Let's smush it up. Okay, the wire to come forward. Okay, I'm going to take the brown. I'm going to make like a hair mass. You can do very detailed things like braids and stuff like that if you want. I'm not doing that right now because my goal is to show you how I make these ornaments pretty quickly. So look at how I'm putting the hair around the wire. And then patting it down. Okay. So now with the hair, I'm gonna do more with the hair later. This is mainly just to get the wire covered up. Okay? Okay, so here we are so far. Now, I need some white. Now, some colors of Sculpey, you should be aware, especially the reds, the greens, and blues, will stain your hands and your clothing. And you'll notice I'm using kind of an old grungy table for this. The color will stain. So if I had used the red, I would want to wash my hands before I switch to the white because it will become pink. Whatever residue is on your hands will affect lighter colors, so you want to be aware of that. So let's get some white going on here. Some more of that. The white's been out a little bit longer, so it takes a little bit more kneading. Sometimes twisting helps with very tough clay. Or Sculpey, I don't even know if Sculpey counts as clay, but I'm calling it clay because it's pliable. Alright, so now I'm going to use the white for the dress. So I'm just going to stick it on there and start forming the dress around my armature, which we made with aluminum foil. I'm just doing that with my fingers and my thumb, pulling And this is when it's great when you have a hollow part, you can get some good traction. Okay. So I'm just pressing on the clay to make it go around and around our aluminum foil armature. And don't forget the back. If you're making a 3D sculpture, don't forget the back. So I'm gonna pull the clay up a little bit more carefully because this is a detailed area. Okay, now the front part, she kind of looks like she's wearing a muumuu, but just with a touch of my hands, I can make them into sleeves. Okay. And keeping the form of the body that we made. Now the armature wire, if it's very, very thin, the tin foil will come through. If that happens, just patch it up. Okay. Now you want to use your hands to smooth the clay out as much as possible. Otherwise it will have your fingerprints on it. Maybe you want your fingerprints on it, that's fine. But if you don't, then you want to smooth out the clay as much as you can. Okay, so I'm going to need, I have a little excess here at the bottom. I'm going to rip that, oops, I ripped off too much. That's okay. We'll just patch it back up. No big deal. See? Voila. Now I'm going to be a little more careful about how I rip the excess off and not just go completely crazy like I did before. Alright, so I need a little more for the back. You may want to, before you get started, soften all the clay, pre-knead it. It'll save you time as you're actually making your project. Okay, so I'm going to take some more of this and cover up the parts that need the dress. Same idea, just pushing the clay right onto the armature of the aluminum foil. Patching up where the aluminum foil is showing through. Smoothing it out. I need to patch that up right there. Okay, so we've got the majority of the dress, basic of the dress covered. So I'm pinching at the bottom and I see that there's excess. I don't need that, so I'm going to carefully take that off. Save it for later. Now these edges, right now I'm going to push them underneath the edge of the dress. Okay. See? So it looks like that. Okay, now what about those rear arms, huh? Well, you can make sleeves. You cannot make sleeves if you want, but I'm going to deal with the hands right now. Hands are very, very difficult in art in general, and especially when you're working with clay and something this small. So I'm going to make like a sort of mitten shape and press it right onto my clay form. Now I felt that my arms were a little bit short, so notice I'm going past them. And then if you'll look at your hand, you'll notice the hand part is wider than the wrist. So I'm going to do that with the clay here too. I'm not going to worry about the details of the hands right now. And you want to... Okay, I'm only going up that high because I'm going to add sleeves. Let's do the same thing on this side. Okay, same idea. There we go. Hand is wider than the rest. Wider, I mean not whiter. Wider. Okay, so we've got that now. Alrighty, so now for the sleeves. Sleeves can be a little tricky. I'm going to take some clay, I'm going to make a ball and then squish it. Squish, squish, squish. And then I'm going to make it a little bit more rectangular shaped, I guess. Okay. Now that's plenty for 2 sleeves, so I'm going to tear it in half. Ish. So I have ish going on here. And I'm going to fix that just by folding it over. Okay. Now I'm going to take this piece and put it right over the sleeve there. Then I'm going to fold it around, see? I'm going to shape the sleeve as I want, fold it around, press it. I'm going to smooth out the seams, fix the mess back here. And I guess you could have seams, you know, there's seams in clothing. It's up to you entirely. Okay, so we've got a sleeve there. I'm going to smooth this out so it looks more like it's part of the dress and not like a choli or something. Okay, there's one sleeve. Let's do the other one. Same idea. Okay, it goes over. Okay. Pinch the back. Smooth it out. Add another little piece here because too much of the aluminum foil is showing through. Okay, smoothing it out, smoothing it out. Okay. Fixing the edge of the sleeve. Pinching and folding. and then smoothing it out over here. I'm smoothing out the back because the back's a little funky looking. Okay. All right, so now she's got sleeves. Okay. All right, so now's a great time for us to take, I've been calling, here's one without a cover. I've been calling this an awl, haha, this time. But apparently it's really called a needle tool. It is an extremely sharp, extremely dangerous, and extremely useful tool for clay. So if you don't have one of these, a well-sharpened pencil will also do, or toothpick. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle tool, and to smooth out this area, I'm going to roll it and smooth it. Now's a great time to decide what sort of neckline I want. I can take off the excess. A needle tool can really get into the places that your hands can't. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to use my finger. Okay. Okay, now with the needle tool, I'm going to make a defined line from the neckline of the dress. Okay. Oops. No problem. Easy to fix. Okay, smooth out more. Now that I've got the dress done in the back, let's smooth it out a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to push the hair down onto the rest of it. Now with my needle tool, I'm going to add little details on the hair. I make like wavy hairlines. I'm gonna fix where the wire is coming out of her head. Okay. So there you've got kind of a hair effect. I'm going to do the same thing in the front. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to decide what am I going to do with these arms. Am I going to leave them open like that? You can, but frequently when you have pieces, like something I'm always worried about with this piece is how the arms and the legs are actually separated from the core of the body. They have a tendency to break when they fall down. So I frequently, especially when it comes to an ornament that's going to be on a tree or maybe hanging off of a doorknob or something, I'm going to fold the arms across her heart. Now I sort of smushed the clay around a little bit, but that's no problem because I can fix it because it's still pliable. So I'm going to cover up all that aluminum foil. I'm going to add a little touch more white to cover up that cuff part that I smushed. I will never pretend that mistakes don't happen because they do. And it's okay. So there, I added a little piece on there. I'm just blending it right back in. Okay. So now I'm going to smooth out the sleeves a little bit. Okay, and take my needle tool and make some hand, oh, there's some brown on there, I'm gonna get that off there. Make some finger details. I'm not gonna try to make the Mona Lisa's hands. It's okay. I'm not gonna try to make Michelangelo's David hands. This is just a very cute little ornament. So I'm going to make a line for the thumb, bring it down. I'm gonna roll the needle tool over so that it looks kind of like a mitten. It really looks like a mitten, see? Okay, so now I'm going to very gently sort of tap the needle tool in to make the fingers. And then go over it a little bit. Okay, so you see where there's like a little hand there? I'm gonna do the same. I really like the way that, there we go. See, I scraped out that weird little fold that was on the other hand. Okay, so now it's always good as an artist when you're doing something like hands or whatever to think, okay, if I'm crossing over, oh, the thumbs are up the top. Okay, so now I know that the thumb really is at the top. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, oops. Fix that a little bit. Okay. So now I've made the fingers here. Okay, so I've got the hands crossed over the top. I've got the hair. I've got the basic form. And I want to add a little more oomph to the dress. So I'm going to need some more clay. Need. Now this, let's get rid of all the little bits here. I'm going to want to be pretty flat because I'm going to make a folding effect. You know, when you see dresses and frequently with angels, their gowns are flowing, and this doesn't look very flowy, it looks very static. So you can use a rolling pin, and a lot of people do, to flatten this out. I guess I never bothered. I'm just gonna use my fingers to flatten out this piece of clay. Probably a rolling pin would probably make this go faster, but well, I don't have one right now, and that's that. Okay, so now I'm going to carefully pick it up. Okay, I'm going to use my fingers and flatten it out a little bit more. Okay, I'm flattening it as thin as possible. Okay. Flattening it out, pulling it out. Now check out what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this over the dress like an apron. I'm going to smooth it in. And then check out, oh yeah, smooth in the back because this is the three-dimensional one, not the flat one. Smooth the back, smooth it. Smooth. Okay. So now, with your fingers, get underneath pinch and fold and make the dress look like fabric. See? So now there's a little bit more of an effect of flowing. Okay. And you can pinch as far up as you want. Smooth out that seam and voila. Now I'm paying more attention, even though it's three-dimensional, I'm paying a little more attention to the front than the back, honestly. I'm being honest. Okay. So there she goes. Okay, so now, if you've already been to my website at www.primosch.net, you know that my character, let's use this one, has big googly eyes. Now, I can do this one of two ways. I can either paint directly onto the sculpture when it's dry. I can paint the face on, or I can use the needle tool to inscribe the face on there. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to make the whites of the eyes and take a little bit of white here, and I'm going to use a very little teeny tiny little dot there. Smoosh. Now this gets frustrating, trying to get the two dots of the eyes completely the same, and press it. See, there's one. Press it right onto the face. Okay. Let's make another one. Let's hope for the best and hope that it's nice and even. Okay. And smoosh. Good enough, drip. Close enough, close enough. Okay, so there's the two eyes. Now I'm going to use the needle tool today, and I'm going to define the neck. I'm going to actually draw with the needle tool. Here are the eyebrows. Here's the nose. Here's the mouth. Now when I, for some reason, when I make my cartoon character in 3D, I still make the face flat. Just a personal choice. You can do whatever you want with yours. And now I'm going to make the dots, the eyes. Okay. Alright, that looks a little whack. Let's fix that. Okay, that's better. Okay, so then there's her face. You can see it a little bit. Okay. So, now we've made this fabulous angel ornament that's going to hang like that. Okay. While the clay is wet, now is the time to inscribe it. You should always inscribe it with the date, your name. I'm gonna write Merry Christmas. See? And underneath, I'm actually not underneath, I'm gonna put it right on the back of the dress. I'm gonna put J. Primosch. P-R-I-M-O-S-C-H. And the date, 2012. Okay? If you don't do that before you bake the clay, you'll have to paint it on. Okay? Now, this is ready for baking. This is important, really important. For Sculpey, you bake at 275 degrees in your oven, or toaster oven as I use here in my studio, for 15 minutes for every 1/4 inch of thickness. 15 minutes for every 1/4 inch of thickness. You know that we have done significantly less than a 1/4 inch of thickness. You don't want to bake this for the whole 15 minutes. You might want to try 5 and then turn off the heat, okay? I prefer to undercook than to overcook. Why is that, you're asking? I'll show you. Here was a lovely ballerina I was making. And if you will look carefully at her arms, you see the scorch marks. Okay, look at the dress. You see the scorch marks. You also notice she's missing a foot. Why is she missing a foot? Well, look at the shape that I made. It's very, very cool, but it couldn't bake in any way that would have supported it. So the foot actually bent in such a way that when I took it out, it was like that. It was supposed to be straight, but it fell inside the oven and eventually broke off. So you can see the tin foil in there. This would have been very cute. Oh look, even our hands burned. Ugh. So that's what happens when you leave it in too long. I have some sculptures that were completely burned, and you don't want to do that. So be very, very careful. Before I used to just worry about being careful for the sculpture's sake, but now we know you also have to be careful safety-wise. So after I bake a little angel ornament, oh, quickly you can see this did work with the wire through the head. That's one thing that worked about that sculpture. After I'm done baking, which we're not going to do today, and I'm not going to do this next part with you, but I'll explain it. I have this lovely bag of feathers. I am going to take some feathers, and I'm going to use a hot glue gun, which also be careful, you don't want to burn yourself. I'm going to glue them to the back to make wings. See? So, but that's after it dries. You don't want to put feathers in the oven. It's a bad idea. Wait until it's dry, wait until it's nice and hard, and then you can add things to it. For example, my mermaid here, I waited until the mermaid was completely baked through before I glued the shells on. Okay? Then after the shells were glued on, they look gorgeous. Okay? So, I'll do that. I'll also might add some cute little candy canes if I wanted to, or some other little gems or stuff like that, more wings and stuff. So, afterwards you can add paint, glitter, whatever you want. So, this was making an ornament out of Sculpey clay and a wire. So get some aluminum foil, get some Sculpey clay, make sure you have enough of everything, make sure you have a good clean workspace, and don't bake for too long. This should take about 5 minutes in the oven, okay? And that's that. I'd like to thank Blick Arts for this very nice t-shirt that they gave me for Christmas when I was in the Blick Arts store. And also you should go over to my student Wawa Kangaroo and check out his channel for shenanigans and antics. That's Wawa Kangaroo. Anyway, have a great holiday, and I will see you in class. Bye!